I received the divorce notice through email while I was still stationed in the desert. 13 years of marriage dissolved with a single PDF file. My name is Nathan, 42 years old, a staff sergeant with the 82nd Airborne Division. I'd been deployed in Kandahar for 4 months when Becky decided she had waited long enough. The subject line read, "Let's handle this like adults." The body of the message was just 3 sentences. She had already submitted the divorce request. She had already drained our shared bank account. She had already moved her new boyfriend, Jeremy, into our home in Spokane. I read the message twice, closed my laptop, took a shower in the communal stalls, got ready for duty, spoke to no one. When I returned to my cot that night, I sent a single-word reply. Acknowledged. That was all. No arguing, no pleading, no ultimatums. Wilson, my bunkmate, sensed something was off. "You okay, man?" he asked, eyes still on his book. "Yeah," I answered. "Just some stuff back home." He gave a small nod, and that was the end of the conversation. Soldiers understand when to let things lie. Truthfully, I wasn't shocked. 6 months before deployment, there were changes. Subtle, but present. Becky stopped showing interest in my day. She began working late more often at the dental clinic where she was a receptionist. Started going to the gym 3 times a week, yet never seemed to sweat. New wardrobe, new people I never met, changed phone passwords. I didn't accuse her, didn't snoop through her things. That's just not who I am. But I wasn't naive either, so I took some quiet steps of my own. Nothing drastic, just precautionary. I stored essential documents in a storage unit across town. Birth certificate, marriage license, the deed to the house that was in my name due to the VA loan and paperwork for military benefits. I also stashed my grandfather's watch and my mom's old silverware there. Items with meaning. I even opened a personal account at another bank and began sending a portion of my paycheck there. Not enough to raise flags, but sufficient to give me a safety net if things fell apart. The night before deployment, she hugged me at the airport and said, "Take care of yourself, okay?" Her eyes were dry, like she was saying goodbye to a coworker, not a husband going off to war. I should have seen it then, but part of me clung to hope. I was wrong. What she didn't realize was that I had prepared for this. And what she never understood was that I never initiate fights. But I always finish them. I met Becky in 2010 at a friend's barbecue. I was between deployments, crashing with my buddy Jason in Spokane. She was wrapping up nursing school, though she later took an admin job at a dental office instead. Said it was less stressful. We tied the knot 8 months later. Becky used to say she admired my service, though she never quite got it. Her dad was a banker, her brother a pharmacist. No military background in her family. She'd often ask when I'd get a real job, not realizing that after 15 years, the Army was my profession, not a temp gig. We bought our home in 2014. Modest, but ours. 3 bedrooms, a small lawn, quiet street. My name was on the mortgage, courtesy of the VA loan, but I added her to the deed because that's what spouses do, share life. My father passed a year after our wedding, heart attack while shoveling snow. My mother died 3 years later, lung cancer despite never smoking. They left me a small inheritance, enough to clear Becky's student loans and still leave a cushion. I deployed 4 times during our marriage, twice to Iraq, twice to Afghanistan. With each return, Becky seemed more detached, like she was acting out a part she didn't want anymore. I didn't sign up to be a military wife, she once told me when I mentioned re-enlisting. I'm tired of being by myself all the time. I got that, I really did. But the Army was where I belonged. I was good at what I did. People counted on me. In 2019, the signs started to pile up again. Becky got irritated when I called during her girls' nights. She'd talk about her friend Melissa, who left her husband and was now living her best life. She'd say we didn't really share interests anymore. I suggested couples therapy. She said we were fine, just in a rough patch. Then came the late work nights, weekend getaways with friends I never met, gym sessions she never seemed to sweat from. I should have addressed it, but I've never handled things that way. My father taught me to think things through, not to act until I was sure. So I waited, watched, and prepared. Because deep down, I knew something was coming. And in this line of work, you learn to trust your instincts. 2 weeks after the divorce email, I was sitting in the mess hall when my phone buzzed. Notification from our bank app. Another withdrawal, $8,500, nearly everything we had left. I put my fork down and opened the app. Our joint account showed $212.37. The $47,000 we'd saved over years was wiped clean, sent to an unknown account. Murphy, one of my guys, looked over. "Everything okay?" I locked my phone. "Just account stuff," I said. That night, I used the base phone center to call the bank. Turned out Becky had been shifting money for weeks. Small transfers at first, then larger. The big withdrawals started the day after I left. I hung up and stood in the corridor for a long time, watching guys chat with kids, wives, and parents. Life going on while mine unraveled. That's when Wilson showed up. "Heard from Alvarez you looked like you'd seen a ghost at dinner," he said. "What's going on?" I usually keep personal stuff private, but Wilson had once saved my ass in Kandahar. I trusted him. "My wife cleared our accounts and moved her boyfriend into our home," I told him. "Sent the divorce papers while I was out on patrol." Wilson didn't offer cliches. No "sorry, man," or "you'll find someone better." He just asked, "What's your move?" "I'm still figuring that out," I said. He nodded. "Let me know if you need anything." I couldn't sleep that night. Pulled out my laptop and logged into the home security system. Becky probably forgot I still had access. There was a truck in the driveway I didn't recognize. A man I'd never seen was walking our dog, drinking from my coffee mug, wearing my Seahawks sweatshirt. And Becky was there, smiling in the kitchen. I renovated myself on leave. Something inside me shifted. Not anger. Something colder, sharper. I closed the laptop and made a list on my phone. Call James, my buddy-turned-lawyer, review via loan policies, request emergency leave, examine home loan documents. Becky had mentioned refinancing months ago. Secure my pension information. I didn't feel sad anymore, or furious. I felt clear-headed, like I was prepping for an op. This wasn't about feelings anymore. It was tactical. At 0500 before my shift, I emailed James. Subject: need legal assistance. Discreet and immediate. He replied an hour later. Call me. Secure line only. After that call, I had a plan. No need to argue, no need to shout. I didn't even need to confront her. All I had to do was observe and let her actions ensnare her. 2 months later, I was back stateside. I didn't tell Becky. No calls, no texts. Checked into a motel in downtown Spokane under an alias and met James at a diner outside the city. "You look like hell," he said, sliding into the booth. "Feel like it too," I said. He passed me a folder. Everything we talked about: deed, loan paperwork, bank records, also this. He slid over another page. "Found this when reviewing your financials. It was a refinance application. My signature was on it, but not really. Someone tried to copy it but got it wrong. Middle initial was off. Handwriting wasn't mine." "Becky forged this?" I asked. James nodded. 3 months ago, they used the equity to borrow $30,000. Your approval was needed since the VA loan's under your name, so she faked it. Withdrew equity, drained accounts, and filed for divorce," I said. "Busy woman. Gets more interesting," James added. "She listed her boyfriend as a co-applicant. He's got priors, 2 DUIs and a fraud conviction from 2019. I took a long breath. "What are my choices?" "Plenty," James said. "Depends on what outcome you're after." I considered it. "I want what's legally mine, and I want her to face the fallout." James smiled. "Then here's the next step." The following day, I drove past our house. Jeremy's truck was gone, but Becky's car was there. I parked a block away, watching. Thought about confronting her. But that wasn't the mission. Instead, I went to the bank. Spoke with the officer who approved the refinance. Showed him my military ID, license signature, and the forged documents. His face paled. "This has to be reported," he said. "I know," I replied. "I've already filed a police report." That evening, Becky texted me. "Who have you been talking to at the bank?" "Jeremy says someone was snooping." I didn't answer. Next day, I filed a formal challenge against the refinance due to fraud, notified the county that no legal changes could be made to the property without my direct presence. 2 days later, Becky called. I let it go to voicemail. "Nathan, we need to talk." The bank called. "What's going on? If this is about the divorce, we can handle it like grown-ups." Like grown-ups, the exact words from her email. Still, I didn't reply. James called later. "Refinance funds were frozen. Also, your truck. Jeremy was pulled over in it this morning. Suspended license. It's been impounded." "Good," I said. "They also found something in the vehicle. Prescription pads from Becky's dental office, not blank." I shut my eyes. She's been stealing prescriptions? Looks that way. Police are investigating. I sat on the motel bed. This was growing beyond what I expected. A part of me wanted to warn Becky, but then I remembered the footage. My house, my dog, my life, treated like trash. There was no going back, and truthfully, I didn't want to. Next day, I met the bank fraud investigator, Thompson. Small guy, coffee stain on his tie. "You'd be surprised how common this is," he said. "Deployed spouse. Other sees opportunity." "So what now?" I asked. "Funds are frozen, but half is gone. $14,600? Where?" I pressed. "Not supposed to share," he said. "It's my house, my forged signature, my stolen money." He nodded and turned his screen. "Transfers to someone named Daniel Spencer." "Who?" "Not Jeremy." I called James. Ran a check. Daniel Spencer, real estate agent, quick sales, cash offers. She was selling the house, I said. Looks like it. Deposits were probably to list it. More. Spencer and Jeremy have worked together before. 3 house deals in 2 years. I sat on a park bench, stunned. This wasn't just betrayal. This was coordinated. James continued. Jeremy has a history. Targets military spouses, flips homes with Spencer, gets a cut, then vanishes. And Becky? Victim or accomplice? Hard to say. This was bigger than us. Other families had suffered too. I asked what's next. James had already looped in the FBI. This was crossing state lines, involving VA loans. That night I sipped a beer in the motel, wondering if Becky ever really loved me, or just played along. Text came through. Becky. Nathan, please. The bank mentioned fraud. Jeremy's in jail. I'm so confused. I replied, Who is Daniel Spencer? She typed, stopped, typed again. Eventually, I don't know what you're talking about. $14,600, house listing, transfers. 10 minutes passed. Then, it's not what you think. I powered off my phone and went to sleep. Next day, James called. FBI wants to meet. Your case might blow this open. At their Spokane office, agents Patel and Donovan took my statement, collected every document. Your story adds structure to the case, Patel said. Proves conspiracy. What about Becky? I asked. They exchanged glances, still assessing her role. She ever talk about financial stress? Downsizing? Yeah, about 6 months ago, right when Jeremy entered the picture. The refinance? Never discussed it with me. Total forgery. They made notes. Patel handed me her card. We'll be in touch. Don't confront her. That night, I watched from a distance as Jeremy's truck returned home. Becky's car wasn't there. She texted me again. Let's talk in person. Meet me at Riverfront Park tomorrow. I showed James. Don't go, he said. But let's see what she does while you're meeting her. Next morning, we parked across from the house. At 9:45, Becky drove off, toward Riverfront Park. Then a car pulled up. Real estate logo. Daniel Spencer. Jeremy greeted him. They entered the house. Follow? James asked. No need, I said. I set up internal cameras last year. Cloud backup. I pulled out my phone. On screen, Spencer took photos. Jeremy pointed out house features. Volume on. Should be listed by week's end, Spencer said. Got a buyer already? Cash. How much? Jeremy asked. List at $470, offer $420, close quick. What about the husband? Becky says he's stirring trouble. Spencer waved it off. Military guys always bluster. He'll settle to make it vanish. James recorded the screen. I sent the live feed to Agent Patel. 30 minutes later, FBI surrounded the house, arrested Spencer and Jeremy on site. Agent Patel called. We got them. Caught on tape organizing the scam, wire fraud, real estate fraud, conspiracy. We'll need a full statement. What about Becky? I asked. She just arrived. Upset. I looked toward the house. She was on the lawn, frozen, hands over her mouth. What happens now? Depends, Patel said. On her involvement, and on what you want. I watched her. 13 years together? Some of it good, before it all fell apart. I just want what's right, I said. The case advanced quickly. Jeremy and Spencer took plea deals, implicated others, 3-state operation targeting soldiers' families. Becky claimed she was manipulated, believed I was hiding assets, said refinancing was Jeremy's idea. Maybe true, maybe not. She signed a settlement. Full repayment. No claim to the house or pension, admitted to the forgery. In return, I didn't press charges. 6 months after that email, the divorce was official. No fault. Clean break. All things considered.